back to Les and highlight something here regarding how to pray for a region or municipality, that sort of thing. And I mentioned earlier that Paul and Donna are leading this Zoom group and praying over the state of Wisconsin. And God is, I believe, changing uh, in a very vital way, very dynamic way, how we do it. In the past, intercession was primarily dictated by the news headlines, the headlines in the news. Oh, politics going south here. We got to pray for that. Now, Jesus said to the disciples, the poor you will have with you always. To me, what that means is you will always have need. There's always need. If need is your leader, then you will never have a moment's rest. And need is actually your leader as opposed to God. And so I think Jesus was highlighting to the disciples that Jesus says, I'm here with you now. I'm your leader. The poor are of a lesser value than my word, my rhema, and my presence. I want you to follow what I'm doing. Listen to what I'm doing. You guys all break that down for yourself on that. But so when we go to pray over whether it's a state or in Les's case, he's been praying over a region. All across southern Minnesota, there's an interstate called I-90. So just a couple of weeks ago, they went from La Crosse, clear out almost to Sioux Falls, South Dakota. La Crosse, Wisconsin to Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And they stopped in key towns and they prayed over those towns. And so one of the towns that caught his attention was a town that felt extra dry or empty, or there wasn't a sense of God in the environment. And so the question he came home with, unless I'm going to let you kind of talk into that, and then we'll talk into maybe some updated protocols or methods to pray for it. But he came home asking the question, so Lord, what do I do with that? How do we handle a municipality that seems to have great need? To me, it's part of us growing up to become the ecclesia of God. Now, we've kind of very casually and lightly thrown around that word, and we call every church on the corner the ecclesia of God. But the truth is, most of us don't even know how to hear the voice of God. How could we ever be God's called out ruling ones? And so we've got a lot of growing up. I'll just say for me, I got a lot of growing up to do to carry the authority that when I speak as an oracle of God. That's 1 Peter. That's where I think our objective is. That's our goal, is that when you speak. So we got to ask some tough questions. And as we said earlier, that's got to be okay to ask tough questions about what we're doing, what we're saying, and what we're sensing. So I was just hanging out there with Les, and I said, well, what would be a good tactic, a good approach? If we're going to pray or sense or intercede from the heavenlies, what would that be? Well, I had to go get quiet, so I locked myself in a room, got quiet, and stuff just started flowing. For instance, the name Laverne means spring-like or of the spring. Because the reason I wanted to know that was, well, why did they get a name like this? And names are not by happenstance. God gave them that name. So of the spring. Well, then the next question is, so what county do they live in? They live in Rock County. Well, who's the rock? Jesus is this rock, And then they have Rock River that flows through that town and that county. I'm thinking, okay, now this is sounding pretty good. These are names that are not just whimsical, names that I didn't just come up with. These are monikers and banners that God somehow is allowed to be established over them. So that's going to begin to color how I think and how I speak. But now here's the next really vital question is, so if they are spring-like or of the spring, now I'm pretty sure that means a water spring, although it could mean the season spring. And we may find out that we get liberty to actually use it as a season spring. But anyway, here's the next question. What phase are they in? If they are of the spring, from this water spring, well, what phase are they? Are they in the phase of growth? Are they in the phase of burial? Remember, except a seed fall in the ground and die, it can't bring forth fruit. So that's actually a God phase. So we don't want to speak out of phase with what God's doing in that community. Is it harvest time? Is that it? Is it winter? Is this, nope, this is the time you got to stay dead for a while until it kills all the bugs and all the whatever, so that when springtime comes, are they in springtime? And these to me are hugely important before we can speak as an oracle of God. We have to know that we're speaking in keeping with his phase. Okay, now the next phase, or the next level, as I was thinking, is so if I can determine their name, which gives some definition of God's design for them, or blueprint, then I come to what phase are they in. The next thing is, so what's the appropriate thing to declare? Do I release angels? Do I release saints? Do we need to go put boots on the ground? You remember Jerry Bryant? That's what we did with you after we had a sensing. We commissioned you to put boots on the ground down in Ringgold, Georgia. And that yielded pay dirt for us. That helped us immensely.
Yeah.
So what's the next phase? And what I feel like that if we're really going to speak confidently and with conviction as an oracle of God, we're probably not going to get this in just one visit. This is going to be over a period of time. You know, it doesn't have to take a year probably, but probably 3 or 4 visits as a group. And we spend time over that community, and somebody's the scribe. Somebody writes things down like we did with Ringgold. And oh my, Jerry, you remember how that was? We took our treasure map clues that we got from the heavenlies. We took that down there. It was powerful. It blew all of our socks off. I mean, all of us who were world travelers, missionaries around the world, we said, we never want to do ministry again without doing it this way. And so our moving into these heavenly realms of being the ecclesia of God, the called out ruling ones, I think is going to take more time and more, what's the word I want to say? Setting our hearts to be very purposeful to getting the heart and mind of the Lord about the matter, so that when we speak, it's a done deal. So anyway, Les, we're with you on that. I don't know, maybe somewhere along the line we should join you as a group on that.
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, sometime. Yeah.